Hi, and welcome to this 10-minute session called Meet Brandon. This is the lovely Brandon here, and many of you will know him because I have used him with puppies. If you've got reactive dogs, we might have used him with reactive dogs. He is 12 years old now, so he is very senior for a Labrador, but fit and healthy, still comes out on all his walks. And generally enjoys life, but a little bit quieter and quite keen to sleep in his basket here on the sofa. He wasn't always the easiest dog, but always had a fairly relaxed temperament. So if he got overexcited, he recovered easily. So always quite calm, quite sociable, but not overwhelmingly. So Lawrence, my younger lab, is a little bit overly social, so he's a little harder to manage. But when Brandon was a puppy, his wickedest habit was the chewing, which is not at all unusual. Obviously, it was 12 years ago, so I wasn't quite as far along in terms of what I know. He once chewed the plaster off the wall in the utility room, and then when he was a little bit older, quite sweet Pete, he chewed the plaster off the living room wall as well. He once ate the fittings from the end of the hose pipe, you know, where the nozzle bit attaches, and chewed it all the way around. So he made a really big spiral, which still had a lump of plastic on the end, and he ate it. And he was very, very poorly, vomiting blood, emergency vet visit, and they had to open him up right the way from the base of the stomach through his intestines to remove this elongated spiral of plastic. He was slow to house train. Weeing outside, he got quite early. He pooed in the house until he was about a year. So, wonderful dog in lots of ways, but that was a tough habit to put up with. He's never particularly loved to fetch. So when he was a puppy, we had Jess, my first dog, and she'd fetch a ball and just bring it back. With Brandon, we had to play what we called sausage bally, as in you'd throw a ball, but you always had to have a bit of sausage when he brought it back. Otherwise, he was not interested at all. Probably his most difficult habit as a younger dog was the failed recall. So because he was such an easy dog, it didn't seem to be an issue if you went off and chased rabbits for a bit or deer. You look like you're about to wander off, love. You've got to stay. Okay. But over time, what that turned into was a real prey chase game from which he had no recall. So for about 9 months, when he was about 2 years old, he had to be long-lined everywhere. And following that, his recall was a lot better, but he does always tend to go quite far away when we're walking and has to be recalled back. But his recall now, it's pretty solid. What else can I tell you? So his training when he was a puppy, my two daughters would take Brandon and Jess to training for a bit. If any of you've got two dogs and you've tried to take them training at the same time, you'll know that that's pretty tough for the first few sessions because the dogs just want to be with each other. But they did really, really well, and he went on and he did his silver. And then he did some agility with my daughter Eleanor, and then with my son Alexander as well. He can't really do agility anymore. He likes to do bits and bobs, but he likes to have very low jumps because he does get a bit of pain in his shoulders. One of the things I did with him when he was younger was therapy dog work. So he was a pat dog, and we went visiting an old people's home, and he would sit, and we trained him to put his chin onto people's laps and take petting on his ears, which was quite good fun. But one of the things that's happened as Brandon has got older is he tends to get a bit more anxious, and in the end, with that, he didn't really want to do it because people who are very elderly or who have a bit of dementia, their movements are unpredictable, the sounds are unpredictable. And although Brandon is the sort of dog who will do anything for me, it didn't really feel fair. Another thing that I've changed in terms of the work that I'm doing is I tend not to use him now as a stooge dog around other dogs. I trust his judgment around other dogs a lot, and he's really stable. But sometimes now, when I invite him to come out and participate in a session, he just wants to turn around and go back and lay down on the van, and I will take that steer from him. So I've gradually moved to using Lawrence, who is increasingly stable and calm around a wide range of other dogs. When he was younger, he pulled like a steam train on the lead, so he had to be on a head collar till he was about 18 months, 2 years. And then we just realized we didn't really need it. So now, well, for a while he was walked on a harness, and now he's mainly just walked on a collar because it literally never goes tight. He does get tired more easily, and as he's got older, he has developed paralysis in his larynx. So one of his issues with exercise is that he can't quite catch his breath, and you might hear him if he's out on the paddock running around, making quite a hoarse noise as he tries to get his breath. He absolutely loves being outside. He was from a litter who was born in a stable and kept outside, and I think that for some dogs that really stays with them. So for him, he really likes to be outside in the garden when it's sunny, laying down. And he likes being at the paddock where he can lay outside in the sun. But actually, if the sun isn't shining and Annie the puppy is awake and playing, he prefers to go upstairs and he lays in a basket in my room, because I think he just prefers the peace and quiet. But he has excellent vet care. He's on supplements for his joints. He gets lots of exercise. So we are very hopeful we'll get another couple of years out of him at least. Life expectancy for a lab is 10 to 12 years, and he's 12 and a bit. So I'll plan on another couple of years. But for me, he's been with me through a huge amount of change in my life. And if anyone's had a dog that's been with them through all of the change, you develop a really wonderful bond with them. And he loves almost all of his special humans equally. And I think that's a really nice life for him. I have a lodger now who he just loves to say hello to, whereas my younger two dogs are far more just my dogs and want to do stuff with me, and they'll say hello. If any of you meet Lawrence, he'll come over and say, have you got any treats? No, well, I don't want to say hello. And that's all you get. Whereas Brandon, he loves people, and he does like to genuinely sit with you and have a little bit of a cuddle. Don't you, love? So that's Brandon. If you have any comments or any questions or anything, especially I guess about senior Labrador care, please feel free to let me know. Bye for now.